Welcome to episode 9 of season 6, A Whole Lot of Wolves. I'm Joshua Buckley, joined by co-host Paul LePage.
Hello.
We got Danny on the socials in Baltimore.
Hello.
Alex, our great producer in New York City.
Happy Sunday.
And joining us once again from Michigan Wolves, one of our favorites, it's Joe Dylewski. How's it going, Joe?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me back.
And you just got back from a fun trip over to Wolverhampton.
I did. I was there for 24 days, and I was there for a friend's wedding, but I kind of split up that trip, and I did 4 Wolves matches while I was there. I did St. James Park, the Leeds match, the League Cup, and then at Spurs, and it was great. And I wanted to pass along to you guys that while I was there, I ran into a number of people who were fans of the podcast, and in particular, folks like Rob and Gina, who we met at the Great Western, and are religious listeners to the podcast. So shout out to them. And the other highlight of this trip was I went on the Wolves Heritage Tour with Kevin Harris. And wow, it really was cool. And if you're a Wolves fan or supporter here or abroad and you're ever there, I recommend that you connect with Kevin and definitely do that tour. It was really cool.
Sounds like a perfect chance for us when we go over next season to watch Wolves in the championship. So, let's get right to it. 1-1 draw, another draw. That feels like a loss, guys. The starting 11 was almost unchanged, except for one new addition, Paul, against Spurs. Tachua came in probably to try and pocket Mente. What do you think of that starting 11?
Happy, mainly. The news on Doc with his injury ruling him out. I think it would have been obvious to start Chachir anyway, going pace for pace against Minte. And that largely was reflected through the course of the game. I think the lineup, the 4 at the back, again, is probably going horses for courses in terms of the opponent, but I thought it made sense largely. So I was looking forward to it with some relative optimism going 4 at the back against them.
Joe, you were over in Wolverhampton, so you kind of have the pulse of the people out there. What are the thoughts here of this back 4, especially with Santi and Johnston coming back into favor?
Well, what I found interesting was in talking with people is how quickly the mood of Agbadou turned, but it was, to me, it was interesting to being able to attend the 4 matches is to watch the evolution and listen to the supporters. And I think for the most part, the other people that were around me thought like I did, that they definitely saw some cohesiveness building, and the personnel is what it is. But for the most part, I think they saw kind of a turn, especially after the Everton match. That made a difference. But I think the sentiment over there is the same as it is here. And, they're probably a little harsher than we are, but the sentiment's the same.
Danny, the big online chatter was just kind of the performance of Hwang Hee-chan. Looked a little dicey. I know I was one of them. But you actually had a different opinion on his performance in the first half.
Yeah, let's just get this out of the way, I suppose. We're going to open me up for some pelters, and I'm ready for it. But I think, it's kind of hilarious how every single week he gets picked. And look, I'm not saying that I think that he's playing well. He's clearly been out of form, as has the team since April at least. But, it's just the idea that, obviously the nonsense that he has to get played contractually because he sells shirts or something is ridiculous. But also the idea that he must be, turning into prime Messi during practice, but then so he always gets picked and then he plays terribly in the game, as if Vitor wouldn't take into account what actually happens in the game. He must offer something. Now, again, we can say that, Vitor is wrong or an idiot or whatever for making that choice. And I might agree with some of that. But I think like there's plenty there to show potentially why he gets picked. And he was doing a lot of defensive work. I know that's not that exciting because we struggle to score goals from open play. He drew 2 yellow cards. He drew a few other fouls that weren't cards. He's doing things that someone like Fer Lopez probably can't do. Now, like, would I be disappointed to see Fer Lopez starting in front of him? No, not at all. Our biggest problem today, and for probably the last several weeks, since our defense has sort of gotten a little bit back on track, has been just creating clear-cut opportunities. And so, I think it's a real dilemma for Vitor going forward. I think Hwang still offers a lot more than people probably want to admit. But I think that, Fer Lopez also has shortcomings to his game that are going to make things difficult just in different ways. So I don't know what the answer is. Hee-chan clearly doesn't have the answer. And I will say one more thing. People get really upset when Hee-chan skies a shot. We all do. We get upset when almost any player skies a shot unless they're a center back. But like Hwang has never been good at shooting from outside of the box. And maybe it's him making a dumb choice that Vitor doesn't want, and Vitor should tell him to cut it out. But like more likely is that he's being left in those positions with the ball and being given the choice, or he's being told to take shots from there. And if that's the case, then I would take issue with Vitor because, again, the places that we've seen him score goals from are not from just outside the box. So him putting it into the stands from just outside the box is like not surprising to me. I hate it, but like, that is what happens.
The thing for me is Hwang is such a confidence player that he needs to have 100% confidence just to be contributing. And while he wasn't great today, it was better. Certainly at home probably helps. The way that he was, again, able to draw those fouls, and we'll probably come on to tactics later when we talk about this again, but that was a missed opportunity. But what I'm worried about, and it's a little like what Joey's mentioning in the comments right now, we've got no one in that position. And that's a failure of the summer. That's a failure of ever being able to replace Pedro Neto. It's got nothing to do with Hwang. It's got nothing to do with Fer Lopez. It's got nothing to do with Arias. They're not left-sided attacking forward players. So, yeah, you could put Rodrigo Gomez in there, but is he going to be coming up with exactly the same thing that Hwang's going to be doing just because he's not a... They're all 12, 15 million pound Premier League players. They're not a Pedro Neto 25, 30 million Cunha type player. This is what we've got, and it's a damning indictment on our forward presence that we have to roll him out every week simply because there's not a better body that you can plug in and make something work.
Yeah, you stole my point there, Paul. Definitely, because you can see Arias is more comfortable on the right side, and that's for Lopez's side very clearly. So it's not like we can play Fer Lopez and Arias. You're asking one of them to play on a side they're not comfortable with. So yeah, your choices are Hwang or Bellegarde, who's not a natural winger. It's a tough situation. One guy who has been coming through lately is Mario Menezes. He's another lightning rod, but you can't deny what he's done the last couple of matches. And in fact, I'm going to say he scored that goal. I know it was credited as an own goal, but that was a nice little rocket that he got a favorable bounce, but I felt like it was deserved, Alex.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it is a little unlucky on Verbruggen's part. He made like an unbelievable save. Right place, right time for Marshall Menezes, I suppose. I, more than anything, was just surprised that the luck of Danny Welbeck went against like him. Like I feel like anything that happens with Welbeck and Wolves, I feel like usually will go his way. It's about time that luck evened out a little bit. Really, I mean, he's attempting to clear the ball. I understand it. I'm not saying heading it is easy, but he put it on a tee for Menezes. That was probably like Wolves' assist of this. Like if we're gonna call that an actual goal for Manetzi, then I'm going to call Welbeck's header the Wolves' assist of the season.
100%.
Yeah, like, come on.
Joe, with Manetzi's recent performances, like, he's never coming out of the lineup as long as Vitor's there, right?
No, I agree. I mean, he's giving performances, and I don't see anybody to replace him. I mean, he's getting chances, and hopefully over time those chances will materialize. But no, I don't see him coming out of the lineup.
Well, one person who missed the goal was Vitor Pereira, who was shown a straight red by our good friend Jaron Gillett. He who decided to straight red Mario Lemina for walking forcefully towards him. Johnny Phillips said that Vitor was sent off for irresponsible behavior in the technical area after he kicked a spare ball into the official's fourth seat. He was able to talk to the team at halftime, but Danny, that seems a little thin-skinned again by the officiating crew.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we haven't really properly seen what he did, and I'm sure that it was over the top. But my first thought is like, doesn't Arteta do this on a weekly basis? And that doesn't like excuse it, like he should handle his emotions. It's just like it was one missed foul in a half where I thought that it was better than I expect from Jared Gillett that first half. The second half is a different story, but probably shouldn't be acting out like that. But again, it's hard not to feel hard done by when, you've had Klopp and Arteta for the past like 10 years yelling at fourth officials, etc. And Vitor gets a little upset and kicks a ball and it ends up in the fourth officials area. And that's a straight red. So I don't know how much it affects the overall result. It's certainly not good mentality for the players who are trying to do something out of the field for the coach to then get sent off like 30 minutes into the game.
Paul, do you think a manager getting sent off during a game actually matters? Because obviously he has communication with his staff on the sideline.
Yeah, I think seeing the game from a different angle, I suppose, in the stand, having that communication channel makes it somewhat more easier. Whether there's some more closeness to it or quickness of reaction, I'm not sure. I think I can't remember someone who said it, but like managers should, in theory, be able to set the team up, and as soon as they cross that white line, then in theory they don't have to send any more instructions out. The job's done. Now, again, we'll might talk about this in some depth when it comes to substitutions and being able to see how the tide of a game is changing. That's a different matter altogether. So does it make a huge amount of difference? I don't think so, but at least it's something to like look over to and know what you should be doing and when, and having that closeness probably does err on the side of being there and present.
Well, Wolves did have a 1-0 lead, and it was looking pretty good. And then the substitution started, Joe. And the first one was Hwang coming off for Agbadou. Very interesting, very quickly going to the back five. Did you agree with that decision when it happened? Obviously, we know the result, but did you agree when it happened?
I was watching it, and I'm like, oh no. Oh no. I was commenting to folks who were with me. It's amazing how the opinion of Agbadou has turned from last spring to now. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't. The goal that was conceded didn't really have anything to do with Agbadou. But I think I took the same approach that a lot of other people did. We're just like, uh-oh. It was like at that point when they went into the defensive shell, I said, well, here we go. I mean, we're conceding 2 points here, or at least 2 points. So I was concerned, but it was what it was.
Yeah, it was an odd substitution. It got worse a little bit later too. But before that, Johnstone made another unbelievable save. Very clearly, he's the number one keeper, Alex.
Yeah, I think we could finally put that one to bed. So I'll eat my words again as someone who
There's
has
a lot of
constantly
people
been
eating words on that, so
on the
don't feel
team
bad.
of Jose Sa. And my reasoning for that was for a very long time that he's just such a clearly better shot stopper than Sam Johnstone. And after the past two matches that we've seen, I don't know that we could actually say that anymore, whether it's who's just low on confidence, just out of form, whatever. Johnstone is very much that guy right now. And in a weird way, like even the goal that we end up conceding, I kind of liked his reaction to it. I think all of us on our couches are just absolutely enraged with Chichua, who not only senselessly allows them the opportunity to have a corner by touching a ball that was going to go out for a goal kick anyway, then just doesn't step out to De Kuiper, who puts in the cross for Van Hecke to head it home. So it was like a double fault on him, and he absolutely lost his mind at him. I felt really bad for Chichua, but on the point of Johnstone being more verbal, seeming like he has a little bit more command, I think all of these things are signs that are endearing him to me a little bit more than before, when I was like firmly in Camp Sa.
The comment I sent to Minnesota Todd during the game was, I hate that Sam Johnstone is making me like him.
Like, I know,
there's
he was
part
a total dick
Exactly.
last year.
there's part of me that just still doesn't really rate him, like just from all the times I've watched him at Palace. But I mean, it's undeniable that he's got the shirt now. There's just no question who should be starting the next game.
I tell you what, I don't get the feeling of anxiety when the ball's at his feet. And I always had that with Saw, like, oh, God, no. And I don't feel that, so that's a good thing.
I would feel it a lot when the ball was in the air, and that's what I don't feel anymore necessarily with Johnstone too. Which, like, to Danny's point, it's like he is making me have no choice but to like him.
Yeah. Goes to show, if you keep acting professional, things will happen. I know he got in a bad thing last year, and he didn't deserve to get a shot again last year, but clearly he had his head down and doing his job this year.
On the goalkeeping thing, can I ask you, Josh, a question, since you're always asking us questions? How do you think Johnstone feels about them changing shape and going into this shell into the
he had to be furious, absolutely furious, I'm sure,
because
it's just inviting pressure where, I mean, Krejci and Santi had a good firm in the back, and I can't imagine he feels comfortable with Agbadou back there, especially when Agbadou starts thinking he's Cristiano Ronaldo bringing the ball down the pitch.
That was a Max Kilman-esque marauding forward move from Agbadou. But
did Agbadou play futsal?
He may have. But I just think it's for a goalkeeper, like, going to the back four is what solidified this defense. It's the only stability that we've done. And that's why I don't understand mid-game why we have to go to the back five. It's like, independent of Agbadou, we're our most solid right now when it's Santi and Krejci back there. So if you're holding on to a lead, why make a fucking change?
And a big part of that is Krejci, because Krejci probably is the best communicator in the back line Wolves have had since Cody. If you watch him during the match, he is always talking. I mean, for the fact that this guy is new, he could, if he was given the captain's armband next match, I would not be surprised. They're not going to do that, but I mean, he's made a huge difference, not just with his play, but with the communication. And then when you're throwing Agbadou, we don't know. I mean, Danny, do you know if Krejci had ever played in a back five before this?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think that the difference in leagues is probably pretty significant there. Yeah, I just, he's been looking great. I do not know specifically how much time he spent in a back four versus back three, but I mean, I think it might have been Drew who mentioned earlier up, has Agbadou been on the field for every league goal conceded? And I have to say that has to be the case, because he lost his shirt around the same time that we went, that we, of course, went four at the back and then only conceded late after we'd already switched. And it is interesting to see that like we've only conceded with a back three. Now, granted, that's part of that is just like if you're going to start solidifying things, teams are going to eventually score against you. You know, the chances are going to accumulate.
Yep.
You can't just like blame the system itself. That being said, you know, an argument that I find some value in is that does Chachua make that mistake, letting the ball out for a corner if we haven't been defending for the last 30 minutes? You know, you can't know, but it certainly doesn't help to sit there and be under pressure for so long and to be doing these full field sprints because he's also trying to help out on attack, you know, and then you have to make this decision where, you know, there's two players near you. And so it's like, well, do I hit it out of play and be safe to his mind, or do I, you know, take a risk and let it go, but maybe someone's right on my shoulder and they score and then it's my fault also. So yeah.
I think
I
what
hated
was
it for
frustrating for me in that tactical change that it didn't seem at that particular time warranted. Like they brought Jorginho on, who he started to show up, but it wasn't like that you were thinking, oh shit, he's tearing us a new one. And it's the whole thing about trying to match the opponent at this point now. It's like they brought on an extra attacker for a midfield to play further forward with Welbeck. Oh, shoot. We need to bring on a defender to accommodate that. How about flipping that script at home when you should be taking the emphasis in the game to the opponent? This is probably the worst Brighton team I'd seen in a good few seasons in terms of the chance to get at them and do something. I just wish there was some more initiative like that instead of being reactive, because I think everyone watching, everyone in the stadium would love that Wolves team to go out to try and get that second. If they get picked off on the break and concede, that then fair enough. But the whole narrative of parking the bus, inviting the pressure on, like we're a good defensive team. We're not that good to hold out for that amount of time.
Yeah, and we should have had a second goal. I mean, Arias missed a golden opportunity, has to score there. JSL hit the woodwork, almost looked like he had it. But Joe, what's the deal now with Arias? Because he's not contributing in goals very much. I know we got him for fairly cheap, but we're seeing why Wolves were able to get him and a bunch of other clubs weren't in on him.
Weren't interested. Yeah. What is it with Arias? I saw, I think it was in preseason where he had a brilliant goal. And I just, at this point, I always look at, is he getting the opportunities? You know, you have some players that never get themselves in a position they have the opportunities. And I'm a believer that things like that can be corrected. And so I'm hopeful. The style of play has been okay. I'm hopeful that he can correct the finishing. And I think the issue with finishing is not just an Arias problem. The final third tactical work of the squad in general is more of a problem. And I think over time that will hopefully improve.
We talked so far about those substitutions, which brought it to a back five, really inviting more pressure. I thought the biggest blunder was when they took off JSL and did not bring in Tolu, Danny, because at that point, you don't have a target guy downfield who you can just try and boot it to and clear it out. What possibly were they thinking not bringing him on?
I can't imagine. I mean, I'm a big appreciator of what Bellegarde does bring to the team. And like, I kind of see it in the sense of like, you know, as Paul said, they've sort of shifted their midfielders further forward. They've brought in attackers for midfield. So try to get a hold of midfield and try to retain more possession. That's the like argument for it. But we just had nothing at that point up top. And I mean, this is kind of what I talked about at the beginning, where our forward options feel very thin. And this is where like it kind of gets to like, you know, I'm happy to hear arguments that, the players let Vitor down, or that Vitor let the players down with his tactical plan. But this is where it comes down to recruitment, where our options up top. I mean, look, people can shout all they want on Twitter about Hwang blasting into the stands or whatever, or Manetzi not being technical enough or whatever. But like, how many goals does Strand Larson have in the league this season? Like, I love that guy. He's great. And obviously we need to get him firing, but like, this is supposed to be our top goal scorer, we all expect for this season, and we can't get him to score a goal. And we're struggling to score goals from open play. So in that sense, bringing on a midfielder for Strand Larson, on the one hand, in terms of maybe possession, I can kind of see it. But on the other hand, we're struggling so much to create and to attack on the counter. The pace in the forward line is just completely lacking. And the players that might have a bit of it, Rodrigo Gomez, are young and lacking in other areas. He can't, take on an entire back line himself any better than, Agbadu can.
That's like, again, about taking proactivity against these types of teams. You had 2 of their back 4 on a booking up till the 70th minute. Yeah. Like, Dunk is as slow as molasses. So that opportunity to soak in pressure and put a ball over the top to draw a foul and potentially a second red on those 2 that were on one was there for me to see. I'm not understanding why there's not that inkling to think, oh, okay, here's the chances I've got to exploit to try and manufacture my own creativity. So play the opponents from what they're struggling with in terms of two defenders on a booking, and work it that way. But when you're looking round, you've only got Rodrigo to come on, who can potentially run at those defenders with any inkling of pace. It goes back to being a damning indictment of the strength of the bench, the strength of the squad overall.
Alex, I felt like last year with Vitor, they wouldn't just sit on a 1-0 lead. They'd keep attacking, keep pressing. So why do you think he's become so conservative this year?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe a lack of trust in like the squad he has right now, certainly, which I think we all kind of feel.
I'll just reiterate my point: lack of attacking options. You know, like, I know we're all excited to see Fer Lopez and Rodrigo come on, but I'm not surprised that he doesn't trust them to carry a team that's under immense pressure in that moment.
Yeah, it's just the youth, the inexperience. I think like Fosun's refusal to sign anyone who has any type of Premier League experience.
But it was a normal window, Alex. It was
good window.
Good window.
Yeah, good window. I think that's part of it, and I also think like when you're in the position that they're in right now, like, I don't know. I hate this result. Like, I actually really, I should feel okay about a 1-1 draw to Brighton. But every match feels so monumental because of how shit this start to the season has been. So if his approach is, I'm going to be really conservative because this 1-0 win will like turn our season around, like, okay, it's stupid. It's a flawed idea. But I kind of understand it. And that's what really sucks, is it's just going to continue to mount now with every result like this, because like you can't dig yourself out of the bottom of the table with draws. Like a 1-1 draw to Brighton's good, but like that has to be, there aren't a lot of wins on the calendar for Wolves, and that has to be one. And I think that's how he's looking at it. And if that means he's going to throw every defender we have onto the pitch, Mascara, Agbadu, whoever, and who knows what shape they're playing by the end of the match, fine. But I just think you'd be fine if you just played the shape we started with. Like, somebody needs to talk to him and be like, why don't we see out 90 minutes with the back 4 that have been playing their asses off? Like, I had nightmares about Minta going in this game, but I also thought Minta was going to be running at Bueno because I didn't realize Matoma was going to be out, which, let's not forget, he's another Wolves killer who wasn't in there. Another reason this result sucks. It was a Brighton who's like not in form and missing one of their best attacking players. And even though Chachua had the crazy mistake, like Josh, you said it in our group text. He was arguably the man of the match before that.
He was my man of the match up until that 10-second period.
So why blow it up?
Shut
Like,
down
why do
Minta
that?
for sure.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. It's frustrating, and yeah, it's I don't know. I don't even know what to expect them to come out of the international break with. Like, I'm at that point where like I don't like no version of this team is recognizable at any point.
Mhm.
Well, and that's kind of the thing about this result, and why it's so disappointing. Because, like you said, a draw against Brighton, not the worst thing especially for Wolves who struggle against Brighton. And you could still see like, oh, this could be an upward trajectory. The win in the cup, 2 draws. We're moving in the right direction. A few easy games coming up. Not easy, easier. Don't come at me about jinxes. But the bigger problem is just like going into the international break and feeling like this next game has to be so important. If we could have gotten 3 points here, it's not so much what it looks like on the table, although the table would have looked better too, but it's more just the amount of pressure that you have going into games against Sunderland and Burnley. And I think that we should have more than enough to beat Sunderland and Burnley. But one thing that can really mess that up is if you think that this is literally a make or break game, 7 or 8 games into the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have hip replacement surgery scheduled in 9 days, and I feel like it's not nearly going to be as painful as watching Wolves this season has been.
Yeah, but you get heavy drugs now to deal with Wolves.
Yeah, to deal with the inevitable Sunderland, collapse. Paul, I'm starting to get a feeling that it's inevitable now we're going to be in the same cycle where we get rid of our manager and have to spend a shitload in January.
Yeah. It's all about contingency planning. And the one worry that you've got with our setup and our footballing structure at the front office is one doesn't exist. It's panic moves. It's no forward thinking. It's no forward thinking to the extent of, well, thanks, Vitor, you kept us up, but we want to kick this team on, and we've got a coach that can come in, and we've got a good confidence that we can do that. Doing that in the pre-season rather than ended up giving him a 3-year contract at the start of one that he's had a terrible run of results with. It's like the only time we've ever done that was when they got rid of Paul Lambert and we got Nuno in. And you constantly need that as a club. It's got to be kind of how can we improve? Brighton do it, like Bournemouth do it. They know the next man up, or they've got that short list. We'll be scrambling around trying to find whoever is the next George Mendes lackey to try and get the same bump as we did last season. And you only get Cat's only got so many lives. We can't keep on doing that season in, season out, because you are circling the drain at that point, and it's inevitable.
And I just want to be a stable club. And right now we're in the cycle that all these bottom feeders have, where it's just round and around and around.
Watford Wanderers.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, 100%. And that's why I sort of resist the sort of reflexive Vitor out calls, is that like, who out there, who is going to come to us at this point? But also, I know there are plenty of managers with a big enough ego to take a job in the Premier League regardless, but it's just like this cycle only goes one way. Watford didn't even get to be a yo-yo club after they went down. It's because they keep replacing their manager. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I watch a ton of Watford games. I probably haven't watched a single Watford game since they dropped out of the Premier League. But that's just it. I mean, you can't keep doing this over and over again with constant disinvestment. Oh my God, Big Ange on the market soon, says Sai. I can't handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I still want to have faith in Vitor. I do. but games like today are pretty tough. Games like the last two, it's tough to defend that. And what's definitely tough is that stupid 3-year contract by Jeff Shee. Final thoughts on the game, Joe. Are there any positives we can take from this?
I think I'm feeling the same positives everyone is. 1, 3 matches without a defeat. Good, bad, or different. 3 matches without defeat. 1 is we beat a bogey team for Wolves, which is Brighton. Always seem to have difficulty. And I guess 3 is, despite the errors, I'm still seeing some cohesiveness develop in the 11 that I hadn't seen previously. And with regards to Vitor, I kind of have a comment on that too, and that is it's going to be really difficult. I mean, part of what Wolves have been doing in replacing a manager every year, I know a lot of times we think, well, we look back and say that was great because it kept us in the Premier League, but that absence of continuity is probably very difficult. And you think about what we've been doing, new manager, better team, I know a lot. So, but anyway, those are the positives, I think.
Well, let's head to our favorite segment, Alex.
It'd be helpful if I was ready for that, wouldn't it? Goodness gracious.
We're doing it live.
And I'm getting on Jackson to chew up for a lack of focus.
No Stupid Questions is brought to you by Esfuerzo Wines. Located just north of Santa Barbara, California, Esfuerzo Wines showcases passion and 3 generations of winemaking in every bottle. Whether you're toasting some Vino de Vitor or winding down after a day of work, let Esfuerzo Wines transport you to the heart of wine country with each sip. Now at esfuerzowines.com, you can use the promo code VITOR, that's VITOR, at checkout to receive a 30% discount off your order. And don't forget to try the special edition 1-pack wines to show your passion and support for Wolves with each glass. This message is intended for those of legal drinking age. Do not drink and drive. Excessive alcohol consumption may be harmful to your health. If you or someone you know is struggling with alcohol abuse, please seek help. Esfuerzo Wines reminds you to enjoy their product responsibly and in moderation.
The time of the show where you, the listener, have the opportunity to get involved and ask us anything related to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Number of ways that you can do so. You can do so by getting at us on X at WLW Pod. You could email hello@wholelottofwolves.com. For those of you watching on the live stream now, you can throw your question in the chat and we could address it there as well. Of course, it's brought to you by Esfuerzo Wines. esfuerzowines.com, promo code VITOR, as you heard there, and as those watching can see on their screen. So let's start with this question on X. IKGKOT. After Johnstone made that save, I felt that we'd win it. Sitting back and inviting Brighton to attack us at a game of forwards versus defenders was daft. Where will our wins come from? Where do we see wins? Anybody, please.
This next match at Sunderland, Danny's probably going to disagree with me here. It's a must win. I know there's still plenty of time on there and stuff, but we only get 2 cracks at some of these teams, and really we need 6 points from those 2 cracks.
I won't disagree with you. I'm a descriptivist, not a prescriptivist, and that's a deeper cut. But you know, like there is the must win in terms of math, and it's not that. We all know that. Yeah. But in terms of the way that this season is going up until January, when you know decisions have to be made, and obviously before then, if managerial decisions are going to have to be made, it's like for Vitor, it's a must win. You know, and the path down which you tread if you lose to both Sunderland and Burnley is a very different one than if you get at least 4 points out of those 2 games.
It's like last season we had that Southampton game where we were a bad start to the season, but at least we beat a bad Southampton team at home, and then we go away and stuff Fulham 4-1, and all you're thinking, like, okay, at least there's something there. We've not shown an inkling of that so far, and that boils down to creativity and scoring goals. We can be as solid as we want, but if we've not got that outlet, if we've not got the opportunity to kick on and build on a 1-goal lead and get a second, and all of a sudden they've got to come at you more to try and get back into the game, and what does that leave? Opportunity to hit them on the counter for a third and put the game to bed. We're so far away from that type of setup. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. We'll move on with this question. This is kind of a depressing one. Will Wolves' leading goal scorer this year reach double digits? That's from Drew, a good friend of show and frequent guest on X. Does anyone know how many goal scorers there have been on Wolves? Because our leading goal, it's just a bunch of guys with one. If you include Bart Brogan.
Manetzi's going to lead the team in goals.
Yeah, Hwang, Krejci, Rodrigo Gomez, and Santi Bueno have one. And I wouldn't say that any of those people are who I would expect to lead the team in goals. So whoever it's most likely that Wolves' leading goal scorer will have not scored a goal until mid-October this season, is what it's basically looking like. Do we think anyone reaches double digits?
Own goal could be the leading goal scorer for Wolves.
Yeah, that was another part of the question, which was, has a leading goal scorer ever just been opposition goals? I feel like that can't be the case, but we'll have to dig in. We'll have to do some Premier League stats.
We don't even get any penalties to pad that number out either for the likes of Strand Larsen or Arias or whoever is the penalty taker. So it's not like you could get one of them on like 6 or 7 and put a couple of penalties away and they're chasing double figures that way. So
I swear to God, if we get our first penalty and Hwang steps up to the spot, I may
not
throw
a chance
at my TV.
Oh my God.
Or Manetzi starts walking up to the spot. Can you imagine the meltdown?
I hope for Hwang's sake he doesn't have to do that, because that will be immense pressure, and anything but a goal will be a terrible reaction, unfair reaction. I don't know, man. I thought Arias had a real chance. I got catfished by him, just like the club did in the Club World Cup. I don't know. Larson will hopefully go on a little bit of a run, but it's crazy we're having this conversation in October when the past few years we've had multiple double-digit goal scorers. It was like finally the thing that we solved after not having that for so long. But
may have to break out the lemon and salt soon, guys.
But then we got rid of Cunha and Aït-Nouri, so
yeah, that'll do it. All right.
Well, the other thing is, I say the other thing to think about there too is Larson hasn't been at 100% fitness either. And,
yeah, that's a good
and
point.
now we've got this 2-week international break, and I think a little bit more time to heal. I think you'll start to see him put the ball in the net a little more.
Yeah, he has
He started slow last year.
Yep, he is going away with Norway, but then again, does he start in front of Holland for either of these games? Probably not. So
yeah. All right, we talked about goals. Let's talk about points. From Sai in the chat here, and he's saying, what's an acceptable points total for October for Vitor Pereira to be able to stay?
I see Josh Googling the October fixtures. Well, let me tell you, it is Sunderland and Burnley, and that's it, because October 29th is the next round of the Carabao Cup. We play Chelsea, and then the next game is until November 1st, Fulham. So we can group in the Fulham game if you want, just for flavor, but strictly speaking, it is just Sunderland and Burnley.
That's got to be 6. You got to get 6 points from those.
I think 4 is a minimum, and I think
4 minimum.
And I think if the draw comes first, then it feels more precarious than if the draw comes second. If you're still waiting for that win,
Yeah. Oh man. Sadly, I think you're right. 4 minimum, which would be a grand haul of 5 on the month, because today, I guess. Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. This was the second part of Drew's question, but I wanted to hit on the points while we were talking about lack of goals. But Drew Freakin on X also asked, 3 games ago, for Lopez was Wolves' only real attacking threat. Now he can't get stoppage time minutes. Is it all because of that popped collar? Is something else going on? We talked a little bit about this, about his inexperience, him not really making sense on the left wing. He likes to cut it on his left foot from the right wing, and that's Arias' spot. But is there something else? Like, does anyone have any theories on?
They don't trust him defensively. Paul?
Yeah.
For me, it's like positionally, can he be brought into the side? Because he did show when he came on that he could pick the ball up deeper and progress it that way, and that was what was missed today as well. There's no one in the middle of the park. Bellegarde's looked to do that sometimes. That doesn't always come off, but when there isn't an out ball to give it to someone who can either open it up by beating a man and laying it off, or draw the foul and release some pressure. It's what Cunha was able to do, and it's night and day difference between Cunha and Fer Lopez, obviously. But it's like you're trying to squeeze Fer Lopez in again because there's not a better option, and it's no fault of his own. We just haven't got that luxury with him.
Yeah. There you have it. It's not.
It was another Mendes luxury buy that we really shouldn't have done. I think he's going to be a good player. He'll be awesome in the championship next year.
Oh God. All right. How about this question? Let's lighten the mood. From Todd of Minnesota Wolves: is Paul aware how much that training top makes his eyes pop? I know for those watching live, maybe a little surprised. I don't know if it's because we're doing this during the day. Maybe you've got sun flowing in through the window. I didn't realize Paul was had such bright blue eyes. You have some admirers in the chat there, Paul.
There we go. It sure beats comments from my mum writing in. So thanks, Todd. I've got two fans now. Maybe I'll get 2 Valentine's cards next year.
There you go. Yeah. That's I think that'll do it, right? For no stupid questions. Thanks to our friends at Esfuerzo Wines. EsfuerzoWines.com, promo code Vitor to get a 30% discount off your order. Later this month, we'll have some things to celebrate. You're going to want something to uncork and toast some Vino.
I was all prepared today. That's what I get for thinking.
That managerial announcement on November 2nd, when we head into yet another international break.
Yeah. Well, you know who'll be on the market on November 2nd? Ruben Amorim, probably. So,
is he a Mendes guy? I bet he is. He's Portuguese. So.
I think he has to be. And we were linked to him ages ago. I'm sure I would bet. I'd be willing to bet he is.
What's old Gunner doing lately?
Oh my God. I've seen United fans cry for him to replace him. Yeah.
That's the thing, man.
Just
it's not always greener on the other side. That's I get it, but
well, we got out of jail a couple of times by appointing managers who were very exciting off the bat, and that is not always going to be the case. You might make an appointment and immediately feel like, oh, this was not savable by anyone.
Yeah, but it's also like the only lever they have to pull. Like they really don't have any other lever to pull, which is why I feel like he's not going to finish the season. It's not that I don't want him to finish the season. It's just that you can't just you can't
replace the squad.
You can't just walk into relegation, willingly. And if we're rock bottom still, what else can you do? There's just nothing. There's nothing else to do.
Fire Jeff. He would at least get the crowd more pumped up. I got a little quick rant. 10 minutes left. I don't know if it was the placement of the mics or what. Molyneux was too quiet, man. 10 minutes left, holding on to a 1-0 lead. That's very rare. I gotta hear more. Gotta hear more from him.
I think it was the nerves. Everyone's just terrified.
But man, they needed it right there. The players needed to feed off of Molyneux, and normally they can get that energy. And I didn't hear it. It could have been just the placement of the mics. It could have been, they could have been doing it. I didn't know, but I was a little surprised that it sounded very quiet. Even before the goal.
Yeah, Josh, that observation is true, and I noticed it in the matches I was at Molyneux. It just didn't seem to have the energy, and I'm not saying it's not justified for how the club had been performing, but I had several people around me talk about how the energy just wasn't the same. The energy was better at Spurs with the Wolves crowd, in my opinion, just everybody engaged, than it was overall at Molyneux. And I love going to
Yeah.
Molyneux.
I think
it's a
that's
great place, but I did see a difference.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, is that there just isn't that much to be excited about on the field right now. And I know it feels a bit simplistic, again, to talk about our attacking options, but even just a player to get you off your seats, and there are moments where there are some clean through balls being played by Andre or João Gomez or someone, and Strand Larsen is running onto it, and you think here's a chance. But just in terms of, a collection of forward players, which can include midfielders, even defensive midfielders, whoever can contribute to that attack, who can go on a counterattack and make the crowd stand up, and also, give you just some hope that even when you're defending deep, because defending deep, especially, I'm sure most Wolves fans are realistic at this point. We're going to be scrapping this season. And so we're going to have to defend deep several times, I'm sure. But if you had any hope that there would be an exciting counter coming up that would get you a goal, maybe, then you might be more excited even for the defensive part of it. But instead, you're just well, we're just in it now. As soon as we decide to hit the button to go defensive, we're just in the bunker now until they blow that whistle.
Sigh in the comments. Josh, little observation. We haven't won a league game since your last visit. Should I start a GoFundMe page to get you back over? Absolutely, baby. Let's get me and Laura back over there. We'll drink some Bovril nonsense and have some good time hanging out with Stu and Adam and getting 3 points. Obviously, big match. Not this next weekend, the weekend after that against Sunderland. Also, a big watch party in the Midwest, Joe. Tell us about it.
Oh, thanks, Josh. Yeah, so this was kind of the work of folks from Michigan, like Glenn and Belinda, and also Chris Wood out of Columbus. We're getting together for basically what's going to amount to a whole weekend in Columbus. So the Sunderland match is on Saturday morning, but we're all going to get together Friday night for dinner, watch the matches on Saturday, stick around Saturday for some college football, have a group dinner, and then same on Sunday. There are matches. I think maybe Liverpool City are playing on Sunday morning, and then there'll be NFL games. So there's a whole weekend of great stuff. I've been posting this, whether it's Facebook or X, and with the agenda. No need to RSVP, although we'd like to know if you're coming just for planning in restaurants, but come to one or all of the events. We've got people potentially coming from Canada, from Tennessee, Georgia, New York. Josh, a lot of the usual cast of characters will be there, but I think it's going to be great. I am working diligently on getting somebody from the club over, and still crossing my fingers, but maybe we're 60% there. So we'll get somebody from the club over. We've got a lot of giveaways, me from Wolverhampton, so it should be a lot of fun.
Great job, Joe.
Keep an eye on the socials. If you have any questions directly, you can message me in Facebook. I'm part of the Wolves USA group. and my handle on Twitter is @MishWolvesUSA. Direct message me, reach out, and hope to see a lot of people there.
A great Wolves event in the Midlands, as we don't call it.
Thanks to Danny on the socials, Alex producing, and our audience, as this show is all for you. We have great fun in doing that. You'd be doing us a huge favor and helping Whole Lot of Wolves grow by giving us a 5-star review, all of the thumbs up, whatever you can on your podcast listening platform of choice. Along with, if you're not doing this already, subscribing to our content on Whole Lot of Wolves. You get those notifications when we go live, when we share our content, and going ahead, liking all of that as well. So we will be back. Our next episode will be to preview that Sunderland game. So if you're out celebrating Wolves not losing next weekend, then you can proudly do so and tell everyone to up the mighty Wolves.